Hi, I'm Carmen DiGiovine, and this is HRS 5400, Computers, Communications, and Controls for Individuals with Disabilities. As usual, there is a ton going on, so I've got a lot to go over and a lot of information to give you. First off, I'm back in my basement, made it back from Iowa, and of course you may have noticed I've got the Illinois flag on behind me. I've got an Ohio State shirt on, and I've got a Pitt hat on. So of course, I'm going to talk about this incredible past weekend where The Ohio State University beat Indiana, the University of Pittsburgh beat Clemson, and unbelievably, the Fighting Illini from the University of Illinois beat Penn State. I heard that during the Pitt football game, a gigantic cheer went out when they heard that Penn State lost. I guess we can all get behind that. But it was an exciting sports weekend, and hopefully all these teams keep on their roll and win their games this weekend. I'm sure Ohio State will beat Penn State, so they'll have 2 losses in a row. The other thing I want to point out is I found out that my dog, Wrigley, is famous. He made it onto the Pitt News. I know I'm talking a lot about Pitt, but we were in Pittsburgh this past weekend. We took Wrigley with us. He was wearing his Pitt scarf, got his picture taken, and ended up on the Instagram account and Twitter account for the Pitt News. So if you want to see what my dog looks like, you can check out the student newspaper's Twitter account and Instagram account. Speaking of dogs, I hope you had a chance to hang out in the lobby of Atwell Hall this week. I heard that on Thursday morning, there were a bunch of dogs there. It's a great chance to just relax and hang out with dogs. Who doesn't love doing that? And the reason those dogs are there is because of HRS CARES. So the School of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences has started HRS CARES, and the CARES stands for compassion for others and for yourself, attitude, rest, embrace, and self-kindness. If you want to learn more, I highly recommend you check out the intro video that the school created about the HRS CARES program. One of the pre-major advisors, Sam Felhaber, gives the introduction. And so it's less than 2 minutes. I think it's definitely worth your while checking out. There will definitely be more to come with HRS CARES in the future. So now moving on to the course. As many of you know, I graded Wiki number 4 and Wiki number 5. It was so much fun. I learned quite a bit by grading the Wikis and going through them all, and I recommend everybody check them out. There's some great information there. Some of the highlights were Smart Living by AbleLink, Inspiration concept mapping software. So concept mapping, how do you take ideas and pull them together? Word queue, and Coach. And Coach is AT for individuals with cognitive impairments. The student that posted Coach actually also posted a link to the Idaho Assistive Technology Project. And they have an incredible resource handbook on assistive technology for individuals with cognitive disabilities. Didn't know it existed before this assignment, so I think it's really cool, so check it out. So I graded Wiki number 5 as well. I learned a lot about zero effort technology from all of you. Some of the highlights were universal design and universal design for learning, participatory design, and user-sensitive inclusive design. You also posted a number of great artifacts. Some of those standouts were the CAST video, a YouTube video on CAST, from CAST on universal design for learning, the Interaction Design Foundation website, and they talk about empathy-based design, and then finally the figures that were used throughout the wiki, as well as the captions that were placed on the wiki, especially the ones around universal design. So I think we can all learn from the wiki. Of course, I do love the technology. The technology that stood out were RFID, so that's an oldie but a goodie. Pete, Coach, Braze, DAD, D-A-A-D, VCPM, Abby, A-B-B-Y, and Cook, C-O-O-K. So a lot of great resources. You have to go check the wiki out to figure out what all those acronyms mean. Everybody's doing a great job. I really appreciate it. So I've posted Wikis 3, 4, and 5 in addition to Wikis 1 and 2 on the internet. So you can go out and take a look at those and see what the finished product looks like. I'll include links to those in the show notes. So let's move on to modules 9 and 10. Module 9, you have reading from chapter 2 in robotic assistive technologies. It's human-robot interactions for rehabilitation robots. And in this chapter, we focus on the human-robot interface as opposed to the human technology interface that we focused on in HRS 51. So that's how those two go together. And of course, you're all working on the telehealth assignment. This is the first assignment. You've picked, hopefully by this time, you've picked a partner from the class that you're going to work on the assignment with. With your partner, you've created a video where you're the client or the caregiver. I want to point that out. I've gotten a couple questions about that. Or the caregiver. So you can play the role of the client or the role of the caregiver and then switch it around where you're playing the role of the ATP. You're actually creating 2 videos, but I only want you to post the video where you're the ATP. So I hope that makes sense. Some of you have reached out to me already, but reach out to me if you have additional questions. For Module 10, you're going to be reading Chapter 3 in Robotic Assistive Technologies, and it's on Assistive Robotic Manipulators. The learning activities include another wiki, so this will be our 6th wiki, so you're getting the trend now. And then this will be part 2 of the telehealth assignment. And so in this case, you're going to write up the report, what you learned while you were interviewing the individual, and start to make recommendations around technologies for that individual. And those technologies should come in the area of computers, communication, and control technologies. I don't expect you to do something around seating and mobility, for example. That's a different class. Okay, just to end up, I always like to end the weekly overview or the module overviews with some cool bits and bobs. One is a New York Times article. I'll include the link on it. The title of the article is "A Future for People with Disabilities in Outer Space Takes Flight." So it's a really cool article about individuals with disabilities flying in an airplane that goes suborbital, and so they can experience what it's like to use gravity. This was a test flight in preparation for individuals with disability going to space. So check it out to learn about what the project is about, but more importantly, think about how technology can support individuals with disabilities in space. It's a very interesting idea, and it's an emerging area. The other thing is we still have the ISS Kickoff webinars. I've talked about them throughout the year, and I think talked about them back in the spring. Tomorrow, on October 29th, we'll be doing our last webinar. The webinar is entitled Complex Rehab Technologies, so CRT, and that's vernacular for high-end manual wheelchairs and power wheelchairs. And we're going to look at CRT service delivery and clinical assessment research. What happens behind the clinic? The moderator will be Laura Watanabe from Mobility Management. So some of you may know her from Mobility Management or may follow her on Twitter. And she'll be interviewing Rachel Hibbs, Matt Berwick, Anna Allegretti, Emma Smith, and yours truly, Carmen DiGiovine, myself. So it should be a good panel talking about policy, talking about research, and talking about the clinical implications of that research. So check out the Kickoff webinars. Finally, I've added more time slots for office hours and for meetings. So please check those out. Feel free to sign up for those meetings. And if those times don't work for you, as always, feel free to reach out to me via Carmen Canvas Mail. So I warned you at the beginning, there was a lot going on. Everybody's doing great this semester. We're over halfway through into the final stretch. So keep up the great work. I hope you're enjoying the class, and reach out to me if you have any questions or any feedback. Thanks, and have a great week.